All right, welcome to our Friday Flex. This is your host Keith and Joseph. So we are here on a wonderful Friday. We're going to talk about today's flex or reflections is pacifiers. And I get a lot of inspiration now from having a child. I know those who are parents get a lot of inspiration and a lot of reflections and just perspectives that we look at from a different angle when you bring a little life into this world. So I was thinking how with pacifiers, it's a beautiful name actually. The purpose, the utilization of it, because when you have a child, you just you have this little object, and when there's frustration, you just insert the object, and then the whatever the problem was or whatever the issue was just mitigated. All you got to do is just insert it. And so I was thinking, every time, whether E-Man is thirsty, she needs sleep, she needs to burp, or has, some type of air, extra air, or just feels like crying, that pacifier is key. And it'll normally calm her down. And so I was thinking, in life, even though as we get older, we remove this object that goes in our mouth, but this object becomes more diversified.
It takes on other forms and shapes,
And no longer do this little small pacifier is that suitable for, at least for most people. I don't know, I guess some people will still be okay with big babies, I guess.
Big baby, what you doing over there?
But with most people, we find other means to become pacified, and it is this it is a idea in which we never really think about us doing something or moving away from something or negating something or trying to ignore something as a pacifier. We don't see it like that. We just see, this is what I've recognized to help me overcome or to help me take the edge off. And it is this these different types of subtle pacifiers that we have used and we are currently using to take us away from the real points in life. I was listening to a yoga teacher talk about the study done in the UK, and it was amongst, I think, 18 to 45. And the purpose of this survey was to understand what people feel is an adequate way to relieve themselves. And so there were 4 common themes. Vacation was one of them. So somebody was feeling, a lot of stress, bogged down, and I need to take vacation.
Right.
The next one was sleep. And so it's like, it's too much. I I need rest.
The body shuts down
The
sometimes.
body shuts down.
Yes.
The third one was intoxication.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yes.
I have to
Yes.
just take the edge off.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Whatever it's, doesn't matter what it is. They just, that was intoxication was the third one. So we have intoxication, we have sleep, vacation, and then TV. TV was the fourth one, or watching movies or something like that.
Okay.
Entertainment.
Some form of
entertainment.
Okay. Wow.
And these were 4 types of common pacifiers. And so this yoga teacher is asking, this class that he's giving, he says, what do they all have in common? These. Thank you. And so what do these 4 types of pacifiers have in common? Mm-hmm. Of course, it wasn't said as a pacifier, but what are these 4 types of measures what do they have in common? And so some very smart, intelligent person said they are all meant to distract.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And so I was fascinated by that. And so I was like, okay, but how is sleeping? Because sleeping is a necessary, function.
Yes, very true.
But also, when one thinks a little further, when you sleep, you can step away from the reality that is present currently that you're dealing with. And it allows you to take a little pause from that reality. And sometimes, depending on how serious it is, it follows you in your sleep.
That's true
depending
too.
on.
Then, of course, keep in mind there's also there is a certain amount of sleep that each person needs, without a doubt.
Yes.
Some people may need 8 hours of sleep.
Right.
I'm not sure what the national average is, but somewhere, let's say, between 6 and 8 hours of sleep. Okay. But when one is really stressed out, the edge is there, and they need to like let their hair down, and put their feet up and just really unwind to the best of their ability. We tend to sleep more than what we normally would sleep or what we require to sleep. And that excessive amount of sleeping and that excessive amount of but just dreaming, and I would just call it what it is, fantasizing. Because that gets to what you're saying. Sometimes we are troubled by something that we are going through in our lives or in our relationship with others, and it does follow us in our sleep. And we are still thinking about it, and we're still feeling all stressed and tensed in our sleep. And it's like, now you need a vacation from that. Yeah. And you sleep more because you did not get the sleep that you needed.
Yeah, you didn't. Yeah, the one that allows you to actually reset.
Right.
Yeah.
So So there's that aspect of excessive sleeping.
And the point that was kind of brought up by this the speaker was that even with vacation, you have to come back. It's like,
well, the thing about vacation is sometimes you're still thinking about work.
Yeah.
Or whatever the situation is. So did you really go on vacation? For some people, no, they didn't. They're, what's that song? Your body's here with me, but your mind is on the other side of town. You're messing me around.
Yeah.
It's like that.
Yeah.
Your body may be on vacation, but your mind is still contemplating whatever that problem is or whatever that situation is. So you really didn't go on vacation.
Right. So what ends up happening is, say we're having a stressed time and we're like, okay, I'm going to go on vacation, right? Check, vacation check.
Mm-hmm. You all excited?
I get there. I'm on vacation. Now,
delay in the flight. The TSA takes some of your products, whether it's hair gel or whatever it is.
Frisked.
You get frisked in all the wrong way.
You have to step you aside, so
in front of everybody.
Additional screening. It's like then you got to get the dog check.
Oh, I had that situation happen before to me, but we're not going to that.
Okay, all right.
The dog sniffing you out and everything. Yeah. It's like, come on, really? Then you finally get there, and then the room is not ready. It's too hot. The AC's not working. The elevator doesn't work. So now you got to walk up several flights of stairs just to get to a humid room. At least the view is nice.
But there's hair on the bed.
Oh!
And you don't have any hair.
And you ain't got no hair.
So you're.
I'm gonna change my name to Curly.
Curly. Might be Mo. Okay, so you get there. Now you're like, okay, you're exhausted now. So you're like,
on all levels.
So I need to take the edge off. So now you gotta drink. You gotta take some form of intoxication.
Got the intoxication.
Then it's like now you're drinking. You gotta watch something.
I'm feeling a little bit better. Exactly.
Let me just turn on TV. And now you're like, okay, this is good.
Then you fall asleep.
So you're experiencing all four of these things in one place, and then when you come back to reality, you sober up. You're like, I got to do this again because I can feel everything, so I need to dull it. And then you're like, well, I'm tired now, so I need to sleep some more. It becomes this cycle.
Yes.
And this is how the majority of people in the world are functioning. Mm-hmm. And so this yoga teacher was explaining that the main reason why most of us are trying to take the edge off or to do all these four different types of activities is because we're really not engaged in the highest goal of life.
Yes.
And so because of that lack of engagement, we're easily stimulated by these things which are temporary.
Yeah.
And so it is, and I think to myself, just so everyone knows, it's now I do watch TV, I do sleep quite a bit,
I'm envious.
I
ain't got no TV.
Well, you can watch from your mind. Your mind's eye. You can make up whatever happens on there. It's just this just in. Watch the news in your mind. You can do so many things. And so I guess what I'm trying to say is that even though I understand, it is such a common thing to do where you just want to turn your mind off. But like we talked about before, you're really not turning your mind off because you're getting input of information.
Always, constantly through the senses. Mm-hmm. Stuff is always coming in.
So you may even need the TV to go to sleep to, but you're being programmed in your sleep. Mm-hmm. And so you're like, okay, when you wake up, all these concerns that you had, you're like, why am I thinking about, I guess I need another prescription of whatever, because you were listening to some infomercial that had some type of prescription on there.
Yeah.
And then you're like, you know, I don't know if the QVC channel still comes on.
I'm sure it does. And all the infomercials and stuff like that.
I guess
You
I do need a new
buy
watch.
this. Yes.
I guess I need a new watch. Gotta buy a new watch today. So even though you're sleeping, you're still being programmed.
You go to the grocery store and you start buying things you don't even need. I need socks. Yeah, that's it. I need more socks. It's like you got
exactly.
like so many pairs of socks at home, or you're buying you're buying a melon baller and you don't even know why.
Yeah.
It's like, what do you need that for?
Yeah. I was doing some research yesterday. I was wondering, I said, how much is actually absorbed through sleep? How much information is actually absorbed through sleep, right? And it was funny because on one of the websites it was mentioning that, and I know I'm kind of going off topic, but it was, and I'll come back. But it was mentioning that a lot of subconscious information a lot of information absorbed on the subconscious level, and most of the time, we are not able to recall it consciously.
Correct. That's true. Yeah. Yeah.
And so whatever we're doing is whatever activity that we're doing subconsciously is starting to mirror what was happening in our sleep.
I can see that.
And I was fascinated by this. It's like, okay, so if we're not really paying attention to what we're listening to when we sleep, then on a subconscious level, while we are awake, these things will play. And I was like, wow.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Right. It's like
even if you are working, when I say working, you could be in the kitchen cooking something, and you could just have the radio on in the background. It's not that you are actively listening to the radio. You're focused on whatever you're doing, but it's on that subconscious level. You're still taking it in, and it'll still have an effect.
Right.
As you're pointing out, it'll show up in your daily activities in some way, shape, or form. And you don't even realize.
Right.
You may even find yourself quoting it, you know. And I'll tell you one thing that actually I found to be really helpful. I actually used to listen to B.T. Swami cassette tape. At night, I would play it and I would listen to it. And then when I would speak to other people the following day, I found myself quoting from the cassette tape.
Wow.
And it was like, and I always used to think like, how did I understand this? But then it's all on that subconscious level. And I never realized how active my listening was, even while I'm sleeping, until I did that test on myself, for lack of better words. It was an accidental test, but it actually really worked. Like I really was recalling everything he was saying on that cassette tape in a class.
Wow.
And I was able to share that knowledge, that wisdom with other people during the day.
During sleeping. Wow. And so so I guess that would be a nice little hack, is like, if you need a pacifier, at least make it worth your time.
Make it worth your time, exactly.
You know?
And let it be a real pacifier. And the reason why I say let it be a real pacifier, what is a pacifier? Now, we all understand a pacifier, and you gave a perfect example where you are placing that object in the child's mouth. Maybe they're hungry, maybe they're thirsty, maybe they are needing something, but it pacifies. The word pacify, if you look at the etymology of it and you get to the Latin word, you get to pacificare or pacificare. And then in Latin, you also see pax, pax, means peace. So it's to make peace or to bring about peace, like that. And so what we see in society in terms of what's supposed to be a pacifier unfortunately does not bring about real peace.
Right.
It only causes us further frustration. And we see in the great ancient text used by many yogis and other great sages and enlightened people, for example, you have the Gita and other places within the Vedas, is that when we hear about something and we develop an attachment for it, if we don't get it, we become frustrated. And then from frustration, we experience anger. And then from anger, it progresses further to things like wrath and eventually bewilderment. And so pacifiers, because they do not nourish us on a molecular level, of course, as many of you know, that's not a real word, but molecular meaning that it hits you on a deep level, touching you on that soul level, molecular level, that, and again, going back to what you were listening to in terms of that study, where we are properly engaged, because it's not, or shall I say, the pacifier is not connecting us. You know, in the way, what was that, Master P? I got the hookup, holla if you hear me. Because we do not have the hookup.
Yeah. We're always hollering.
We always hollering. And so we are always frustrated and we become angry and bewildered. And the crazy thing about it is that a lot of times we don't realize why we're so frustrated, why we're so angry, why we're experiencing so much wrath in our day-to-day interactions with others, whether it's family, whether it's different things that we're doing. We're not grasping it. And it's because we're not properly or deeply engaged in something that is real, something that is eternal, something that gives nourishment. Otherwise, without being deeply connected, we're actually feeling malnourished. And so you have a lot of people in the world, they may put on a wonderful facade. You know, just like George Benson, he has that song Masquerade, you know, that Masquerade Party. So everyone is putting on this wonderful facade. It's just like a masquerade party, right? And everyone appears to be doing very well, but Bob Marley says it best. Them bellies full, but they hungry. Meaning they're not being truly nourished. Whether that's nourished on a social level, in their relationships with others, families, friends, and so forth. Maybe they're not being nourished emotionally. Maybe their senses are not being properly nourished or properly being engaged. Maybe just physically, we're not eating properly. Just like sometimes we think, oh, I'll just have some cheese and crackers, you know, even though they taste good.
Right.
I'm not knocking the cheese and crackers.
Yeah.
I'm not knocking the Oreo cookies. I'm
Right.
not knocking the cake and ice cream nor the pinwheels. But it's not an actual meal.
Right.
And so the nutrients that we are needing, that our body is needing, that need is not being met. And again, that's just on the physical level, emotionally, how we're connecting with others. In fact, a lot of times as human beings, we feel frustrated with certain things. Maybe we feel angry, but a lot of times we tend to suppress our emotions. We try to sweep it underneath the rug. You know, and there may be different reasons why we do that. Don't get me wrong. I'm not knocking anyone on that. But eventually, those emotions, they build up underneath that rug because they've been swept away for so long. And they're being bottled up deep within our hearts or deep within our subconscious, that eventually that bottle will break due to all that pressure. And it gets unleashed on somebody. We don't know who, but just like a volcano, it just erupts. And it becomes a nasty mess.
Yeah.
And you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
You just have one person, you know, and you see this aspect of road rage, you know, or you are in line and you're waiting at the grocery store and, you know, maybe someone jumped in front of you because they didn't realize that you were in line or whatever like that. And you just erupt on them and you just let them have every bit of it.
Every piece.
Feel every piece of this frustration and anger
Yeah.
that's been building up within me for decades, you know? And so, in short, this aspect of being malnourished because we're, you know, keep giving ourselves these pacifiers. And again, as you pointed out so rightly, which is that they're so diverse. You know, they come in different ways. And we're constantly distracting ourselves from what is the truth, what is the reality. And thus we are constantly trying to look for something, whether it's a vacation, whether it's some form of intoxication, whether it's some extra sleep, we can, hit that snooze button, and try to get an extra 5 or whatever it may be. We're constantly doing all these different things because, again, we're not deeply connected, or as I like to say, this may sound a little harsh, but because we don't have a life. Meaning a life, meaning we don't have a true meaning or purpose.
Right.
When we have a meaning, when we are on a mission, when we're out to have a fulfilling life, life becomes completely different. We don't get ourselves caught up in all the various different distractions. You know what I mean? Like if you're in college or you're in school or whatever it is that you're doing in life, maybe you are a business person, you are an entrepreneur, you want to start your own business, and you want to, after, let's say, 5 years, you want to be in a certain place, and you have some type of outline, some type of goal that you're following, so you can achieve your goals and ambitions. When you are focused and disciplined, you're not going to be wasting time on activities that are not beneficial to your progress and advancement. And so in the same fashion, when one has a life and when one is properly connected, and again, please forgive me if it sounds harsh if I'm saying that you ain't got no life. But you can get one. 29 or 2 for 50. You can get a life right now. Just call it. I even throw in a 2-piece and a biscuit for you.
And a koozie.
I got a $15 Starbucks gift card for you. I even throw that in for you.
Just for you to get a life.
Just for you to get a life. Live responsibly.
Yeah.
So when one actually properly connects and have a meaning or a purpose or a focus in life, you find that those individuals, and I'm going to quote my maternal uncle.
Okay.
What you'll find is that for the first 6 months of the year, you stay out of everybody else's business. And for the other remaining 6 months of the year, you mind your own business. And so you are focused, you're disciplined. Whereas people who don't have a life, what do? We try to look for drama. All of our children, or days of our lives, General Hospital. We look for drama.
I need some type of stimulation.
Right. And so
I need drama.
We need drama, and you could easily save it for your mama, but you don't. You just simply start shopping around for drama, and you start eavesdropping in everybody else's business. You start rumors, like we were talking about last time.
Rumor has it.
Rumor has it. So you jump into everybody else's business. All because that you see that, and it could be very well that other people are progressing, but because you're stagnant and you want to think and appear that you're progressing, you try to engage in all these different things to either put others down, right? Because if you're not moving, if you could push someone down, you artificially appear to be moving. It's like an optical illusion. So we look for drama, we look for problems, we look for issues. Why? Because we don't want to address the actual problem. And that's very difficult to do. Michael Jackson, what he says, you got to start with the man or woman in the mirror.
In the mirror.
And, that's a very difficult thing to do for anybody, because that means that now we actually have to look at ourselves, everything that we've done, and then we actually have to start holding ourselves accountable and responsible.
Yeah.
That's why every time at the end of the show, you always hear me say, live responsibly. It's because we have to hold ourselves accountable and responsible. Bhagavad Gita points out, I forgot the quote itself, but basically, I wrote something down. Oh, it's on another sheet of paper. Basically, what does it go? How does it go? Whatever acts a great person performs, common men follows. And whatever acts or standards he sets by exemplary actions, the whole world pursues. And so it's in that fashion when we are living responsibly, people, they see that. They look up to us. They want to know, how are you doing what you're doing? You know, what is your eyes look so spiritual. What is your secret? You know, they want to know, and they will inquire sincerely. And then we can impart that knowledge and wisdom onto them, and they can also get a life too.
It's funny. So you're mentioning about the etymology of pacifier.
Pacifier, yeah.
And to make peace.
To make peace.
Yeah.
But it never brings about peace.
Brings about peace. So bringing my daughter back to the example, so if she's like really hungry, like the pacifier will only work for like maybe a short period of time till there's no milk coming out, you know. So it's like,
yes,
and then it's like, you know, it's like this rage, and then if the milk's not ready yet, I'll just put the pacifier back in. And it's like,
wait a second, no,
and then,
no,
then it's like,
it's not the real thing,
you know. And so in life, we sometimes we continue to do that temporary thing that distracts us for a moment, and then it's like, this is not really, I'm not really satisfied. I'm not really at peace until you get the real thing.
You can only gaslight yourself for so long, brother.
Yeah. And you're full of air.
You're full of air. Now you got to deal with that part. Got to come out somehow.
So, but it is that temporary satisfaction that is most devastating, because it's like it's this never-ending story.
Yeah.
You know, and so we're like, but we have to continue to do these things because we really don't have anything that gets us like, that really makes peace. And so when I think about this, the study that was done, I was thinking that most Western society, we're vacationing is one of them because we got to take the edge off. We need to see new sights,
Yes.
experience new things, and then we have to watch TV because we have to see the days of our lives, or we have
The news.
There's
more drama.
It's like, hey, this just in. And then we have to sleep, and then there's the intoxication aspect. But because of these 4 different types of stimulants, it's like the real problem of life. We can put that on the shelf because I'm distracted right now.
Don't disturb me. I'm distracted.
And so, but then, when at moments where it's like we realize that, okay, let me turn this TV off. It's like, all right, now I'm feeling dull mentally.
Better yet, let the power go out.
Let the power go out.
When there's a storm, when there's a storm and the power goes out, have you ever seen how people respond?
Oh.
It's crazy.
I was one of them.
Oh!
Like, what happened?
I'm frustrated. The home works.
Yeah.
People are like calling up the electric company, and they're giving them their peace of mind and so forth. And it's like, you know what? At the same time, this is a blessing. Because now that all the people are coming out of their homes, now you can actually start interacting with your neighbors.
Unless it's nighttime.
Unless it's nighttime, right?
Yeah.
Then you bring out the barrels and just start lighting fires. Talk about some keep it warm by the barrel.
Yeah.
I want my baby back.
But yeah, and that's the thing. If the power goes out, one has to is forced to
Acknowledge your neighbors. Because y'all standing out there not knowing what else to do.
or acknowledge each other in the house.
COVID, perfect example. COVID took out everybody's pacifiers. Can you imagine two people going out on a date? Just think about that, right? And when two people go out on a date, they're supposed to be interacting, getting to know one another. But instead, what do? They go to the movies to distract themselves so they don't actually really have to interact. And then they're like, well, let's hurry up and eat something real quick.
Yeah.
Move me into dinner. Let me get you home, right?
Yeah.
And so you take out things like the movies because, again, social distancing. You take out all the various different pacifiers that are there. And you're sitting at home. And the only thing you hear is your conscious. Or you can hear nothing but your thoughts. And you're left to face the music of all the things that we've done in our past. I don't know if you ever put yourself in solitary confinement voluntarily.
No.
You don't have to check yourself in. You can just do it in the closet or whatever like that. Talk about going to the upper room, you know what I'm saying? Coming home to you, Lord, going to the upper room. and you just sit in silence. It's very difficult, to actually sit in silence because your thoughts are running wild. That's when you really notice your thoughts are just everywhere, like a little toddler, just like a little monkey bouncing from one tree to another tree. Chanchela. Chanchela is a Sanskrit word meaning fickle or bouncing all over the place, for lack of better words. It's not steady, or dira. So you'll see that your thoughts are all over the place, and then you start thinking about all the different things you've done. It's not that your life flashes in front of you, but if there's any guilt, if we've done something in our past that hurt someone, certain things start coming up, especially if you spend more and more time in solitary confinement. That's why that's one of the worst experiences for an inmate, right? Because they find themselves in a solitary confinement and it's a dark room and all their thoughts are just going through their mind. It's almost like Edgar Allan Poe. Many of you, if you know me, I love reading a lot of Edgar Allan Poe stuff. So he has that one piece called Telltale Heart. And even though the main character was not in solitary confinement, but he had murdered his neighbor or something like that. And that thought was fresh in his head. And he buried the body under the floorboards of his apartment. And the police comes to, check if anyone knows anything. They're just detectives. They're trying to collect information. So they come to him. And even though the guy was not necessarily in solitary confinement, but basically that thought just kept annoying him so much. He would have gotten away with the murder, actually. He did an amazing job cleaning everything up. But because he could not deal with his own thoughts, he snapped and he told the police that he's actually the one that killed the person. And so it's of that nature that when we have a hard time facing that music and addressing our own thoughts or addressing the person in the mirror, eventually we'll snap and eventually it's going to come out in the wash anyway. But it does not come out in a pretty way, because we've been avoiding it for so long. But when we actually address it directly, then it can actually be used in a way where it becomes an opportunity for growth, as we've discussed in previous sessions. And we can actually see how we can benefit from certain situations in our past. And then, who knows, maybe it could, if we wrote a book, it could help so many other people.
Right, yeah.
In their day-to-day life, so.
You were mentioning, and it's actually one of my favorite childhood artists as I was growing up, Michael Jackson. Yeah.
knew you was gonna say that.
Yeah, you know it. You know
Thriller,
it.
baby.
I had a makeshift glove. I had
Don't tell me it was a dish glove.
no, it wasn't this glove. I think it was my sister's like winter glove. It was a sparkly or something like that. But you know, the man in the mirror.
I got a golden pair of gloves like that.
Oh, you had a golden pair of gloves?
No, I still do.
Oh.
I wear them in the wintertime. I put them inside my gloves. Y'all don't know it. Whenever you get a chance, I'll show them to you guys in the winter. In the winter time, I'm sorry, I'm from the west side. You got to put a T in the word winter. Not winter. Winter circle, but winter time.
Yeah.
And they're actually to keep your hands warm. It's all gold and sparkling and stuff like that.
MJ knew what he was doing.
Yeah, he knew what he was doing.
Keep his hands warm.
Yeah, keep them hands warm.
So, but the song "Man in the Mirror," he's asking them to change their way.
Yes.
And so, and that's really the only way we can make a change.
Yeah.
And so I was thinking, I wish there were more songs like that, like around, because at that time there were so many things going on in the world.
Yes.
But we were actually the cause of why the world is the way it is. Let me finish this one thought, and then I know you're going to say something. But so I was talking to a relative, and they asked me, said, Keith, can you share with me, what do you think is the reason why the world is like it is? You know? And I explained to him, I said, this external reality is a reflection of the internal reality. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so Michael Jackson saying the same thing. And so we're like, how do we make that change? And it's like, we have to, first of all, we have to be honest about where we are, like currently, mentally, physically, emotionally. We have to come to that reality. And then after that, then we can take inventory of, okay, I'm not really happy here, or I can make some changes here. To really investigate or analyze what will bring me the highest happiness. Not what society says it would make me happy, not what my childhood or my upbringing says would make me happy, but what actually makes me happy. And I think about that, and it's like, if we actually knew what would really make us to develop sustainable happiness, then the condition of the world would not be the way it is now.
That's true. That's true.
And so because we have all these artificial pacifiers, we are in a condition where we are really not at peace. And because we're not at peace, we're really not happy. Even in the yoga text, it says if one is not peaceful, then they can never be happy. And I'm that makes sense. So my wife and I were like, okay, before we had this idea, we're gonna read for at least so many minutes a day, so we can at least engage our minds in developing, whatever that book may be instructing, before we indulge our senses into binging something, But in reality, when we binge, we're not really focusing on us. We're just taking our time and putting it in something, and then the world is so funny. Like the way nature works is so fun. It's like now after one show is up, when we've been for one, we gotta, what's next? We're the society we're in. What's next? And so, and Netflix has it down. Netflix, they, you know, because if you run out of good stuff in America, then you got stuff from Britain, UK. You can watch stuff from UK, and then now they got stuff from other countries where it's clearly dubbed. But even though the translations and the mouth's moving different, you're still engaged, you know, because it's like I just want stimulation, you know, and that's really where, and I can say this because I'm guilty of it. I'm guilty of avoiding, you know, so many things for just to be stimulated for a temporary period of time. But in actuality, you know, my wife will tell you, like, I get a lot of pleasure in reading, you know. And so, but I still I'm still watching, Flower Moon? Or there's a movie coming out today with about the indigenous tribe. Osage, yeah. Mm-hmm. So that comes out today. I'm gonna watch that. It's happening. But yet and still.
Don't forget we have plans.
We do have plans.
See, you almost forgot. But I was thinking about the movie too. You might see me at the theater. You were like, Juggle actually gets out of the house. And he has a slushie.
It's a popcorn.
I thought he didn't snack at night. Not when you're looking.
So, but being honest where we are, being honest about, okay, this is, I can admit this is a pacifier. Yeah. Are we willing to admit what our pacifiers are?
But are we willing to take on what's real? Because sometimes we have so many pacifiers, we're kind of addicted to them. It's like opium.
Oh.
Or it could be like an alcohol, you know, some type of addiction.
Right.
You know, so we have to go to Pacifiers Anonymous.
Pacifiers Anonymous.
Because we have addiction.
Right.
Hi, my name is Joseph, and I have an addiction. I like pacifiers.
Hi, Joseph. Yeah.
So it's when we have made, or shall I say, built our world upon pacifiers. Again, they're temporary. They're not an actual fix. You know, it's just makeshift for the time being. But we treat it as if it's a permanent fix, and we build our life, we build our families, we build our communities, our cities, our states, and our nation upon these pacifiers. Basically building a lie upon a lie. It's very difficult to give it up. It's not that it's not impossible. It takes a lot of work. But because we buried ourselves so deep, it's just like, you know, when you're in school and if you don't do your schoolwork, your homework, and you're kind of digging your own grave kind of a thing. Wow. And then you got to make it all up at the last minute because here's your final exam. This is the only opportunity the teacher will give you to make up all your work and pass the class kind of a thing. It's like that. It's going to be overwhelming. It's going to be stressful. You're going to have this feeling of urgency. So it's not an easy thing. And again, I'm not trying to say that no one can do it. It's impossible. But it's one of those things that we literally have to take just one day at a time. And part of holding ourselves accountable is surrounding ourselves with individuals who will hold us accountable to and hold us responsible. It has to start somewhere. We have to first recognize it, because otherwise we're just in denial.
Right.
But as you were pointing out, you know, being honest with ourselves, and then from there trying to get help from those who we see are living a life that we aspire to live. And then I'm going to jump off topic here for a hot second, super hot second, is that you're mentioning about music, and I want to point out that there actually have been many great artists from the 60s and 70s, and of course 80s that have put out thought-provoking music before we got all this mumbo-jumbo stuff that has come out in the recent times. For example, you could take Marvin Gaye coming out of Detroit. He almost joined the Detroit Lions. But in that song, What's Going On, you hear all those people talking. Those are actually Mel Farr, the superstar from the Detroit Lions, and so many other, Lynn Barney and other Hall of Famers, from Detroit Lions. They're all in that album or in that song, that track. And so he's saying, hey, what's going on? Let's sit, let's talk. Let's work things out. You also have Curtis Mayfield from The Impressions. And he has so many amazing songs and tracks where they're thought-provoking, to get people to think. You have, from Detroit, Michigan, to be very specific, from Ferndale, Michigan, you have a group called the Detroit Spinners. People normally know them as the Spinners. But the Detroit Spinners, they have a song called Ghetto Child. That song is very deep as well when you listen to that, and how here's a young child who is being blamed for a crime that he did not commit. And there's like so many other different things that are pointed out in that song, and it's such a powerful, thought-provoking song. So there actually are a lot of artists out there who have put forth thought-provoking music. It's just that the younger generations, because we failed to properly connect with our parents, failed to connect with our grandparents, we miss out on all the wisdom that they have in terms of artists, other people who are amazing at spoken word and poetry, that can speak in such a way to uplift us. Now, don't get me wrong, you have other individuals, early days of hip hop like Queen Latifah, Ladies First, you have Rakim and, other personalities that will speak a certain way in terms of hip hop and put forth a message, in terms of, Africa Bambaataa, if that's the correct name. KRS-One, other hip-hop artists, they've also put out some thought-provoking music as well.
I think about Nas, too.
Nas as well. So there are people who have put out thought-provoking music in other genres. And so it's just a matter of us having the ears to hear. If we have the ears to hear, then when you put a T at the end of it, eventually it gets to your heart. Think about it. Message. Ears, hear, heart. So you got to get it in here. You got to take it in. Let it marinate. You got to hear it, in other words. Let it marinate. And then eventually it'll get into your heart.
That's good.
That's good. That boy good.
That's real good. No, I want some of this. That's it. Yeah. No, there's. If we look all around us, there are
messages everywhere.
Yeah, there's a lot of messages everywhere, and so it is. But like you said, we have to be around individuals that are willing to hold us accountable.
Yeah.
Because it's easy to be around people that don't hold you accountable. Everything's all good, and there's no.
And they love lying to you as well.
Yeah.
Oh, you're doing great. Don't even worry about it.
Yeah.
Man, don't listen to them.
Yeah.
They'll tell you that. Don't listen to that person when it's an opportunity for growth. Just like you were pointing out a few different classes back when someone will tell you like, hey, you need to consider doing this. And maybe their presentation, how they articulated it, maybe we didn't like the tone of voice or something.
Right.
But they're pointing out something that we need to work on. It's an opportunity for growth for us.
Right.
But we take it the wrong way. Because we're like, my cup is full of, and it's runneth over. I got everything figured out. I know what I'm doing kind of a thing. So we don't have the ears to hear what they're saying. Therefore, we can't take it to heart.
Yeah.
See? Message.
Massage.
Let that massage into your brain.
Right.
Message.
Yeah.
And so we don't benefit from those opportunities. But if we have open ears and open heart, then we can actually benefit even from, and I like what you had mentioned before, and I'm just going to put this in here, is that, when you surround yourself by people who can see things from different perspectives, not just maybe the way that you like seeing it, but another angle, then you learn something new, and then everyone benefits, or at least you benefit and you grow and you develop when you get it from different angles as opposed to just one side, because then you don't get the full picture, and when you get nourishment, we all like the sweet stuff.
Oh, we love sweet
who
stuff.
doesn't like yams? They're great, they're sweet, but you got to get the collard greens too, baby. Even if they are bitter, you got to eat them greens.
Yeah.
So that you can have a well-balanced diet. Just like if you have a plant and you want to grow a very beautiful plant, you have to make sure that those roots are in some good compost.
Speaking of good roots.
And compost are basically those people who we surround ourselves with, who will nourish us on a very deep level, where we can actually open our hearts, or shall I say, we can reveal our hearts in confidence and seek advice. Surround ourselves with some good compost, some earthy people.
So let me say this because we have to wrap up here shortly.
Wrap it up.
But I like the perspective of the soil. This is why we'll do part 2 next week, pacifiers. But you mentioned the soil giving nutrition, and I was thinking about. So for those who don't know, he has a green thumb. His whole body's green, actually. He's just that.
Hands green, just my palms are ashy.
It's good for the soil.
It's snow.
It's your fertilizer.
So this diatomaceous earth. So the slugs don't get onto the collard greens.
So Joseph helped me with some plants, really special plants I have, and it was like this nice concoction of fish, it's a worm stool,
casting,
black
gold,
and it was sand, and then there's another type of new, I guess it's
like a compost type of another compost type of soil. Yeah.
So he mixed all these elements into the soil to make them to make whatever was going in, the most give the best opportunity to grow.
Best opportunity.
And this was early this year, maybe.
Yeah.
And because of the proper, soil. Because of the proper soil, and watering, of course.
Yeah, you got to water. And the light.
But without the proper soil, it makes everything else difficult.
Very difficult. Mm-hmm.
And so these relationships that we have, these friendships that we have, they have to be the proper soil.
Mm-hmm. Got to be nourishing.
They have to be nourishing. And so there may be multiple elements of soil or compost or elements that you need as friendship. Somebody that's truthful, somebody that's like brutally honest.
Yep. Yes.
And somebody's, that's encouraging or something like that,
Yeah.
But those individuals have to be there for you to be able to grow properly.
Yes. Yeah.
So they have to. It comes down to association at the end of the day, but the type of association is the fertilizer, and the proper fertilizer allows us to really have sustainable peace in the form of pacifiers, and not what we have today in society that are not really pacifying anybody, but just giving us mental health issues.
Giving us mental health issues.
I mean, so many.
It's true,
but it's true. You literally have, and I'll wrap this up. But you really have. There's a person I know through another person who took their own life a couple weeks ago. Through mental health.
Yeah.
And it's like, we need the proper
Soil. If you're not getting nourished and if you don't feel like you have anyone with whom you can speak, you feel like you're all by yourself. And you're like, no one's going to care and no one's going to notice.
Yeah.
But then realize that so many people actually love that person.
Actually, so many people care. So many people do notice.
Yeah.
You know.
So it's important that we actually tell those around us, hey, I love you. You know, what's really going on?
Mm-hmm.
Like, how are you doing? Instead of, what's up?
Mm-hmm.
But to really sit down and say, you know, this is how I'm actually doing. Or I'm struggling with something, you know. Like to actually really talk and share, you know.
Ask really good questions.
Ask good questions.
Yeah. How can I help today? Or what can I do that will, you know, make you happy or bring you peace or whatever.
Right.
But because we're not deep on the societal level.
Superficial.
We're
shallow.
extremely shallow.
Very shallow.
Then therefore we don't even get down to those kind of questions.
Mm-mm.
Because it's just like, oh, they seem good. You know, like
Yeah.
Robin Williams. Who would have known?
The guy's hilarious.
Who would have known? And then
Anthony Bourdain. The chef. Come on. There's so many people.
so many people. The list goes on. And it's like, because the soil wasn't right.
Junior Seau from the San Diego Chargers, I think. There's a lot of people.
Yeah.
A lot of people.
Yeah.
Professionals, meaning it could be athletes, celebrities in terms of movies and TV and so forth. There's a lot of people that have done that.
And often, and I know it's be hard to hear. Okay, she had a couple comments. So Devin said, made nutrition-rich soil with worm casting, and Preeti said your soil has to be good before you can help other plants grow. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's true. That's true. Take it right back to the garden.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll have to do like several
Garden
series. No, we'll have to do several garden series.
You know what? You may not remember. I was talking about the garden series.
Yes,
I wanted to do the
yes.
garden series
Yeah.
sometime back because I was
Yeah.
feeling that was an important situation to really get
I
deep
remember
into a
that.
relationship. So
I remember that.
you know,
All right, so we'll go ahead and
roots,
wrap up.
The next generation.
We'll do
After next.
Yeah, the next episode.
I'm LeVar Burton. My name is Toby. No, it's Kunta Kinte.
So, if you all liked it, please share, comment, and like it, so we know that this is somehow beneficial for you all. And stay tuned. Next week we'll do Pacifiers 2, and then very soon after that we'll start the garden series. And because you got the green thumb, I'll let you. You can go ahead and till the land. So.
Call me Johnny Appleseed.
All right, so take care, stay flexing.
Live responsibly.
Yes. All right.